And in most circumstances, people will prefer to keep quiet. Why? Because in Africa, people so much treasure the social acceptance, society perception. What will people say if I come out? How will I live the rest of my life with this shame? Because in most circumstances, the victim becomes the person who will be turned around to be hunting the other person. We have seen even today in CNN, I was seeing the very prominent actor, as I was watching, is now on trial. So many big stars, musicians in the US, but that is because their system have accepted that sexual harassment, somebody can come out, talk about it, and they are not going to be victimized. But also the system supports its discussion, its interrogation, its investigation, and its conclusion. But here somebody will say, but what's wrong with that woman? How can you? Someone is just appreciating you. If you don't want, you just say, I don't want. Why do you have to go to that extent? I remember the saga of the office of the Attorney General, how it went. Now, if somebody could have all that in that office, which is supposed to be the one to anchor for you, and it becomes a problem, just speaking about it, leave alone the fact that the other person has a right to say it is not true, and make sure the investigation exonerate. But even the discussion alone became impossible at very high level and at very senior level of government. So you are starting this work on the basis of an entrenched social, cultural norms and values that do not appreciate it being in the public domain. So I am very sympathetic with you. I'm very sympathetic with you, and the chair being a man,
the father of girls.
and the father of girls, I'm equally sympathetic with you that you have to drive this agenda, but we must understand that these are, however hard an issue is, you do not say because it is difficult, because it's still not acceptable, we cannot do. People have changed, made changes in most of these issues due to constant advocacy. So you will have to really design a mechanism of reaching out and making the public aware of the situation, why it is necessary to speak about it, so that even if you do not make progress on the investigation and prosecution on en masse, but you would have achieved the fact that people can value. And this ministry is lucky to have the cultural institutions is under the ministry, religious institutions. Those are the two key centers of shaping the narratives of most of these issues. So you will need to look at how do you engage and partner with them. I have seen in many of the areas where ministry has involved cultural institutions in handling some of these issues, they have made headways. In issues to do with the child marriage, for example, you now find most cultural institutions are changing even their cultural norms and giving instruction to clan leaders. If you do this, then it is, you're going to go to law. We're going to take you through the law. So while you engage the machinery of government like police, like the judiciary, you need actually to take a lot of time to engage the cultural and religious institution who shape how this is appreciated, how cultural norms can be changed to handle it, the matter as a crime, not as a casual undertaking which should just be brushed. Because I remember when we were doing the marriage and divorce, the men were asking me, now if you're talking about sexual harassment, now if you're talking about sex in marriage, how do we determine in our culture where in, for example, Karamoja, for you to get a girl, you must run and make sure you grab the girl, take the girl inside, have sex with her forcefully, and then come out with a bed sheets, a white bed sheets, which is showing that she was still a virgin. So if you are telling us that is sexual harassment, how do we treat our culture? Just recently, the VP sent me a situation which was in the West. And some of you saw the video of a very young girl. And she was just, I think she was fed well, and she was 15 years. And they videoed her. And they are saying how she's going to be married, and they are telling her, you smile, they had made for her a wig, you know. So the VP said, but why? So when we went there, those people said, it is our culture. For us here, you have to grab a girl, get a girl, the auntie has to take the girl, to escort the girl, and earn the girl to the man. And so long as the girl has breasts, and is doing her menstrual period, the girl is already mature. So for them, it's not about age. It is about, is the breast there, and is the menstruation there. So now, those are the things you have to, because if someone goes and says, it's our culture, what is your response? So those are really the social aspect that shapes society, and people are grown with it. People are, the Honorable Minister of State in charge of gender was telling me that, you know, for us in the West, even when the period when you have too many cows and you want to dispose some, you call a boy and say, these cows of mine are too many. Why don't I give you, you get for us a girl and marry? So you can see that the level of exchange for a wife, so long as the cow, or the cow is becoming old, you can easily do that. So you must understand the social-cultural context of this before we even come to the law. Because if you start addressing the law can be there, people will even report, then they reach the police, police itself will advise, but now this matter, why did you bring it to police? Why? Just a matter of enjoying with your husband, or you bring it to police? So then if a police now advises you, who will process the, you know, so I want to encourage you to look at that. In the world of work, of course, it is still that socialization process that makes us come in our world of work with that perception. Imagine you are still young and you come out and say, I was raped or I was sexually harassed. Now I'm seeing my young girls there volunteer with the labor department, and the men in labor department are there. You are still young, then they are thinking of rising up. Then somebody says, but now let's go for coffee. Then you go for coffee, then the person starts touching you. You are still a volunteer. Then you say, but if I push these hands, will I get the permanent job?